So we're ready to go ahead and start the real meat of this lesson. And this is the part that you're going to take with you into the rest of the unit. And actually you're going to see this in your other math classes as well, is how you solve inequalities, okay? But the first thing that I need to tell you, which is very important, before we get to example 5, is a rule that you have to remember whenever you're solving inequalities. And here's the rule, okay? First of all, these inequalities are going to be just like any other equation where you have to, move things over to the other side, change the sign, make it cancel out, divide, multiply, and all that. So when you talk about multiplying and dividing, here's what I want you to put down where it says there is one rule that you have to follow. If you multiply, and or, I guess I say or because you can't do it at the same time, or divide by a negative number, okay? So you're doing your work, you are isolating your variable just like you were taught, in middle school, and you end up with a negative number attached to the variable. So it's going to be a coefficient of some time. It's stuck to it. If it is a negative number, here is what you have to do. You must switch the inequality sign. Okay? There's a big difference between positive and negative numbers. So if you're going to be multiplying by a negative number, you're changing the value. Okay, remember he's going to switch the sign depending on, what's happening on the other side of the inequality. So you have to turn that sign around to represent that changing of the sign. Because you know that when you divide or multiply by a negative number, your sign is going to change depending on if you already have a negative number or a positive number, okay? So we have to switch the inequality sign when we are multiplying and dividing negative numbers. So we're going to start with example 5. There's A, B, C, D. This rule is going to come to play in one of these examples. All right? So let's look at letter A. You've got P plus 8 greater than 10. This is what I want you to write down. Typical one-step inequality that you learned how to do when you was like in the 5th or 6th grade. If you are adding 8, I got to subtract 8 on both sides, okay? Subtract the 8 on both sides, and if you can do this in your head, please do. So you get P is greater than 2. That is your solution. But remember, you can't stop there because you need to graph the inequality on the number line. So you do a quick number line. I'll just put 0 and 2. Because this is just a plain old greater than inequality, it's an open circle because the 2 is not included. The inequality is going to the right, so my arrow is going to the right. This is your solution. It's got to be both, not just one or the other, all right? Let's look at letter B. R minus 2. Greater than or equal to negative 9. Now I see negative numbers here, and I know that you notice that my rule has something to do with negative numbers, but that's when you're multiplying or dividing by negative numbers. Letter B, you're doing neither, okay? If I want to get rid of the negative 2, I have to add 2 on both sides. Negative 9 plus 2 is negative 7, and if you don't believe me, ask your calculator. So I take my inequality, set up my number line. There's my 0. Negative 7 is going to be on the left. This is an equal to inequality, so that's going to be a closed circle. We're going to the right. The inequality is pointing to the right, so my arrow goes to the right, and you box your answer. All right, I'm going to stop the video, and we'll do the last two.